I can't even begin to reiterate how important identity is when it comes to your growth, expansion, and success. My income never grew, right? I'd hit a ceiling for many, many years, not just a month. My financial identity had stagnated. My identity was that I can only earn up to a certain amount of money. The identity gap is between who you are now and the person that you want to become. So my energetic capacity had not expanded enough for me to be able to hold the amount of money that I was earning. You don't have the energetic capacity to hold that money. Remember, the limit does not exist. I can't even begin to reiterate how important identity is when it comes to your growth, expansion, and success. We all have a certain identity based on who we are and what we are doing at the moment. Identity creates your results, and I'm going to go into what it really means. But before that, I just want to share my experience. When I was in the corporate world, I used to work in marketing departments, customer service, and people facing roles, right? And this had just become my identity because I was thinking, feeling, and acting from that place. But the catch here was my income. My income never grew, right? So, as much as I was feeling, thinking, feeling, and acting from that place, my income never budged. I'd hit a ceiling for many, many years, not just some months, but many, many years, like about, I would say, over 7 years. And then after 7 years, my income actually improved, and then I hit the next ceiling, right? So, my identity had become of that person that I go into my job daily and I do the work that I'm supposed to do, right? So, thinking, feeling, and acting from that place. But then I realized that my financial identity had stagnated. My identity was that I can only earn up to a certain amount of money. So, if you are somebody who's feeling stuck, you're taking all the action, right? You have all the strategies, you have all the plans, but let's say something else is stagnated, right? Maybe you're not able to expand the way you want, maybe you're not able to earn the income or the revenue that you wish that you could. Then definitely there's a gap in the identity, right? So the identity gap is between who you are now and the person that you want to become, right? So when I moved from the corporate into my business, right, my identity shifted in terms of the actions that I was taking, right? So I started thinking differently, I started feeling differently, and I started acting differently. But not that my income, as much as there was some sort of a multiplication in income, but I couldn't hold the money that I was earning, right? Because remember, I came from a certain identity from my corporate world. So I transferred that into my current practice, right? So the thing is that you are always walking around with this identity. So whatever it is that you are doing, you're shifting it to that place. You go everywhere with it, right? It never leaves you. Like even in your personal interactions, in your professional interactions, anywhere in your life, there's a certain identity that you hold. But what is identity? So identity is at two levels. The first one is the action that you're taking, right? And then the second one is the energetic capacity that you have that determines how much you can hold and receive. Now, when I was in the corporate world, I changed over 7 jobs in a span of 15 years. So I was taking all the action, right? I was applying for new jobs. I did my MBA. I spoke to different people. I had different experiences. So I was doing things differently. So from a doing part of my identity, I was experiencing a shift, but I was still stuck when it came to my income. Why? Because my energetic identity was the same. So do you see the difference, right? So you need to expand your capacity in terms of what you are doing, in addition to expanding your energetic capacity to be able to receive and hold the money or the income that you desire. And this is where my gap was, because I moved into a different identity from my corporate job into my business in terms of what I was doing. So I did things differently, obviously, because now I had to start reaching out to clients. I had to start being out there. I had to, start doing different kinds of marketing. I had to start telling people what it is that I was doing. I had to start delivering classes physically and online. There were so many aspects that came together, right? But the gap that I experienced was in the energetic identity. So my energetic capacity had not expanded enough for me to be able to hold the amount of money that I was earning. So I was earning more than I was in the corporate, but I was not able to hold that money. So how do you know that? Now, if you are somebody, whatever money is that you receive, you end up spending it, right? So that's what happened to me. Like whenever I receive an amount that felt beyond, it felt like it was more than my normal amount of money, I ended up spending it, even if it meant investing it back in my business or doing another course or traveling or buying something that I wanted, right? But somehow my threshold, my thermostat would lead me to spending that extra amount of money that I earned. And that's when I started learning that I didn't have the energetic expansion that would allow me to hold that money. So identity exists at the physical level, where you think, feel, and act differently, meaning you do different things to match the level of the person that you want to become. But if it does not match, if your energetic identity does not match that level, then even if you receive, so some people don't receive the money, right? For me, I was receiving the money, but I ended up spending all of it. So I really want you to think, if somebody deposited $100,000 in your account today, right? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Oh, do I need to buy this? Do I need to buy that, right? Or are you building from that amount, right? If you're already thinking of spending that money somewhere, it means you don't have the energetic capacity to hold that money, because you're not thinking of how I can grow that money, you're thinking of spending it, because your thermostat does not accept you holding beyond a certain amount. So the $100,000, consciously, obviously, you'll be like, of course I'm going to, hold it, and I'll invest it, and maybe I'll grow it. But whatever happens on autopilot is exactly where your threshold lies. So I really want you to sit down with yourself. And by the way, as you listen to this, you can do this exercise on your notebook or on your phone, right? Just imagine that somebody today deposited $100,000 in your bank account. What's the first thing, or what are the first 5 things that come to your mind? And be very honest with yourself. Don't judge yourself. This is not a judgmental exercise, right? It's something that brings awareness to you, that where exactly does your threshold lie, right? And think of the amount of money that you've had in your bank account for a while, and that's exactly your baseline, right? So where is your baseline? So if you want to expand energetically to be able to receive and hold more money, then you have to increase that baseline, right? So your baseline might be $10,000 today. So at any one time, you, let's say, have $10,000 in your account. But then as you grow, you tell yourself that now it should be $20,000, it should be $30,000. So whatever extra it is that you're receiving, you should not end up spending it, right? Think of growing it from that baseline. So let's say you earn $50,000, right? And then you say that now my original baseline was $10,000, but because I've earned $50,000, my baseline can go up to $20,000 or $30,000. So I do not spend anything that goes beyond that, right? So whatever extra I have, yes, I can invest it and grow it from there, but I must have $20,000 or $30,000 as my new baseline. And this is where you start increasing your energetic capacity to receive and hold more money. So if you are somebody who feels like no matter what it is that you're trying to do, but it seems like you either can't receive more money, or even if you receive it, you end up losing it. A very good example is people who win the lottery, right? It doesn't mean if you win the lottery, you can hold the money. Most people end up losing it. Why? Because they don't have the container, they don't have the energetic capacity to hold that money. So if you are somebody who's been, who has the best strategies, plans, you've been taking all that action, but financially you don't see growth in your life, you don't see substantial growth in your life, then this is something that you need to work on. All right, so do get in touch with me, because this is a process that I undertake my clients. I help them expand their energetic capacity, and this is beyond taking action. Oh, by the way, strategy is very important. I'm not discarding it. It is very important, but it has to go along with expanding your energetic capacity. So as I said, identity is about taking the physical action to match the person that you wish to become or the outcomes that you wish to have. So that's where strategy, plans, networking, relationship building, all that come in. but you also together with it have to expand your energetic capacity. Otherwise you're never going to be able to receive and hold more money. All right, so if this is a topic that interests you, and if this is somewhere that you are struggling, then do get in touch with me so that I can help you with that. And remember, the limit does not exist.